Okay, so this is live. So what were you saying?
So I got the setup going for MKDocs. What do I do before I serve?
Okay, let me show you how I set it up.
Uh-huh.
Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm on master, and then once you did you install the command?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm serving locally too.
Right, so should be able to do serve, and it'll open on 80,000.
Yeah.
And then once you're ready to build, you can do docs build, and it'll create this site directory right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like HTML stuff and just add some assets. So what this, I created deploy script, which basically what it does is it will use this deploy command, and it will, which basically what it does, it'll push to the GH branch.
Right.
So on my fork, the way I have it is like I'll have the docs folder here,
Mm-hmm.
which has all the README files, and this is like separated into a different folder.
Yeah.
And over here in the GH pages, this is all the index HTML stuff. So if I go to here, basically I see the site.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, and on CodeShip, what it does, wow, and on CodeShip side, what it does is it does the same thing. So when anyone pushes to master, it'll build a docs and push it to GH pages. But what it does is whenever anything gets pushed to GH pages, building the GH pages branch, it should not. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And I did look it up. Says to use this, but it doesn't say where to put it. So I guess this will be in right here. I would assume it should be right here. And try it if that works. Oh, that's not gonna work. Let me push something. So it should run, and then basically what it does is it'll run through its own thing and then push everything to the GH pages right here.
Mm-hmm. And so what you're saying is once it pushes it, like CodeShip is triggering again because there's
Right, so because it gets pushed to this branch and then gets triggered again.
right.
Which it shouldn't, but
Yeah.
let's see if that command does anything. No, I don't think it does anything.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to look into that. Um,
I mean, I know if we use Travis, I know how to do it because in Travis, in the config file, we just put in branches to ignore, and that'll be the end of it.
mhm.
And it's not a big deal, honestly. If we don't figure it out, we just use Travis for that.
Sounds good.
And then even for testing, we'll kind of have to do the same thing. I'm on test, so I can run all the tests right here. And it'll pretty much do the same thing.
Mhm. Also, just so I'm understanding this correctly, on the fork that you have going, you have the dock set up on master, right?
Right, so in the what we'll have to do is pretty much on the main repo, we'll get rid of the right here, we'll get rid of the GH pages branch.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of this branch, and then from here, what we'll need to do is just copy this folder
Yep.
and this file out to the root of master. So it'll be right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that'll be and the script file I wrote, we'll just have to put that here and that'll be it.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good. I'm gonna put that on the project. I think we sort of have it, most of it done, except that the trigger build on GH pages. So figure that out. I think we should be able to put that on master. Okay, I'm gonna make a note of that.
Yeah. I mean, I know how to do it on Travis, so if you don't figure it out, we'll just move to Travis. Or even Circle CI has that ability to just skip it.
Sounds good.
Oh, next is the features we decided to kind of do.
Yeah, I think there's a few features, especially like the component features, which I think should be fairly easy to tackle. They just might need a bunch of code review
Right.
once it's done. But other than that, I think we should be able to get it out fairly quickly. So if you look at the features, right? So are you on the README?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's look at profile component. Let's go through the first contributor. So at least like we sort of know what's needed, and then if anyone wants to work on them, we can at least guide them.
Right. Yeah.
So let's look at profile component. So the profile component in progress. So I don't see exactly where this would be used. Like if you
Yeah.
think about the profile component itself,
It's more of like a combination of multiple things.
right. So I had this this profile thing that I had going on my couple of my projects, which I was using React Native Elements for, where I pretty much use the avatar component and then set it up. Hang on, let me see if I can get an image of that real quick.
I mean, so we have the avatar now. So like one of them is just the avatar. The other part is like a text with different styling.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the bottom part is just the social icons and the button.
Right, but I feel like a profile component, like there's so many ways you could build a profile component that it would almost be silly to sort of make one sort of design template out of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm still down to like if a profile component, like if you can think of a way where you can like there's a few things you need for profile, right? Like you need the profile image, you need the profile name, and then either those social icons or like a subtitle. It might be really hard to make a general component out of it.
Yeah, I don't see anyone using this because it's like it probably be different for every application.
Right.
So I don't know if this is really a necessary feature.
Yeah, I think if you think about like the building blocks for profile, like if we provide on React Native Elements the building blocks, right, like the avatar component and the social icons, I think
Right.
people should be able to like put them together to build their own.
Yeah, I mean, we have everything to build it. Like
Right.
this is pretty much dogfooding our own products.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think let's sort of remove this out of the roadmap for
Okay.
now, unless someone comes up with a better idea that we can work on relation in relation to profile.
Yeah, I think we can get rid of this one.
Cool. I'm gonna
Next.
just sort of as we're talking, just put stuff on the project just so we don't forget after.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool.
So next one is the header. We decide that. I mean, there's on React Native community, there's a navbar component.
Mm-hmm.
I've never used it. Have you used that?
No, I'm not.
Is there a way we can kind of merge it? Because I don't think it's getting updated.
Can you scroll down on the README a little bit?
Yeah.
Huh, they have, wait, what's routing?
That is just an example. No idea.
So it's not just a UI component, but it actually like provides some abstraction of navigation.
Looks like it. Let me see the README. No, it's just using the navigator from React.
Right.
It's just a component. I mean, this is kind of what people want.
Right, right.
So I don't know if there's the point of reinventing the wheel with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was sort of like initially, I didn't think we needed it, but then there was one situation where I was building like a sample project, and I just needed like a literally like a view that looked like a header.
Hmm.
And so I thought in that specific case it would be useful. But I don't think there's any value in just providing like a literal like dummy header view.
And the other thing is, any of the projects, if you're using like React Navigation or X Navigation, not that I know of, is way to customize the header by your own header. Like you can add icons and stuff to it, but I don't know if there's a way to replace it completely with your own solution.
Right. I mean, if you're using those navigation solutions, why would you even want to replace it, right? I'm sure,
Yeah,
as you're saying, like you can customize it, but like I don't see a reason why you would replace it.
maybe if you're trying to do like things like this or like gradients and stuff like that. It already exists. I just don't know why we have to remake it.
That's true. Is this is
It's
this repository linked on that issue?
That's what I was checking. Yeah.
What was the last comment on that?
He kind of used this thing from Shoutm's examples. I mean, it's not that bad because you're just passing in the components.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather doing the gradient. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be hard to build. I mean, we can take the one which is already available as a base and then provide an API similar to this where you can just change the components.
Right.
Or maybe even talk to the guy if he wants to merge the projects.
Yeah, I'm not super convinced on us building it out ourselves. We should definitely come back to this.
Yeah, definitely. And if he wants to merge the project, that'd be the best way to do it.
That's true. All right, cool. Do you want to look at the next one?
And this one's the featured tile. So basically, I talked to him, and what the idea was is that inside a card, you, let me find a image, might be helpful. Not a card, but a tile. Doesn't exist. So basically, if I have a tile which is not featured tile, something like this, but if someone wants to still have a title in the image, then we should have a prop which says featured title, and then that just puts the title in the image itself.
This is on the existing tile component.
Right. So it's kind of like a merging of a card and a tile.
Sorry, give me a second. I'm looking through it myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding this correctly, that issue specifically, what he's trying to do is have a title on the image for tile component.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should be able to do that, and we should support that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. Because I think you just have to check for one of the props and then add it to how the icon is done.
Right. Yeah. And I think like stuff like that, where it's like adding a prop to something that already exists, but it's specific to his use case, I think we should support that, because in the future, if anyone else wants to use it, they should be able to just use that prop and do what they want with it.
Right, right.
Awesome. All right, this looks like it should like not take that long, maybe 15, 20 minutes. So I can work on this once we finish talking about all of this.
Sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Then it's the badge component. Oh, yeah. This links to the image component. Is there a typo?
Sorry. Let me see. Component. Yes, that is a typo.
So the image component is a parallax one.
Yes.
Yeah, this. So
I wonder if I put that link on something else.
yeah, that's fine. So I think instead of doing it just adding a parallax support to one thing, I think what we should do is we create an image component separately, then have it have the ability to do parallax.
Okay.
Because in future we can add it to have more stuff too, and kind of this as a second or something we need to do before we do that is everywhere there's an image component, like image usage, we have to give it a different processing image component where we can pass a custom image component.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even this one does, they have an image component, but this one's more of a size based. But they have animation and they had a parallax animation. So what they are doing, I think, is they're separating out the animations into different components. Maybe that's also a good way to do it.
Oh, so they're basically like passing in the child to the animation.
Right, so the animation is just a separate library.
Right.
And that has like different components it has.
Yeah, I like that approach. That way it's like totally decoupled, so you can like pretty much render any child that wants.
Right, definitely. Yeah, let's look into it, see what we can do with that. Besides that, but yeah, if we do that, then we don't need to do that image component thing.
Yeah, I think this might be a fun issue to work on, especially because it deals with animations and just the way you would sort of design the component itself.
Right.
This looks interesting. Awesome. All right. Yeah. Let's come back and talk about this as well when it
The
starts working on.
next one is exposing and documenting a divider component. That's like really easy. The
Sorry,
component is just there, that it's not.
let me catch up on some of the notes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all caught up.
All right. So the next one was the documenting and and exposing the divider component. So that should be really simple because it's already existing. You just have to write some documentation and like add screenshots for it.
Can you talk to me about that, and maybe even like show me what you're talking about?
So there's a component outside in the stores, which is called divider,
Uh-huh.
and it's just a line basically.
And someone actually need, or you just said that we should make this as a component?
Well, it's already there. It's just not
Yeah, I mean,
exposed in
like,
the index file.
right. And why would you need to expose it?
Actually, it is. It's
It
just
is.
not documented.
Wait, but it's yeah, that's right.
It's just not. There's no documentation
Can you
for it.
do a quick command F on that component? See where is it, how many places it's being used at? Command Shift F.
Using the card. It's just using the card.
I feel like something like divider, like it's too trivial to like even expose it as a component. Like it should just be used internally.
Yeah, I mean it's already exposed. It's just not documented.
Well, in that case, I don't think it should be exposed.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's
I mean, can you think of a use case where like you literally are going to use a component from a different library to draw a line on your app?
I
Like
mean,
it's an overkill.
yeah, I mean I could think of a few ways where you would, because to create a divider, you just have to create this style for height and background. So now if you're using it in multiple places, you just have to do it in multiple places. If there's a component for it, you can easily do it.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
It's more for like doing
I get it,
separations and
but
stuff like that.
okay. I would be okay with like exposing. I mean, it's already exposed, but I would be okay with sort of like documenting it and actually making it like a proper component if you like actually make it handle different use cases, like actually build an API out of it, where it's like you pass in like color props, or you pass in sorry, or you pass in like height props. Uh,
Right.
in that
Yes.
case, I would be okay with it, where you actually like make it do something. Uh, but right now, as it is, I think it's too trivial.
Right, yeah. So maybe add the height props and the color props and maybe even like a different style. I don't know if you can do it like different style of a line, like dotted, dash, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So maybe that should be the actual wording for that.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note saying think of interesting use cases and then try to implement them.
Right.
Okay, cool.
The next one is the social icon. So I was looking at the code for it, and I don't see why I would use the button because a button cannot have children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one has like children, which is view and loading elements and stuff like that. So maybe I think it's fine as it is.
I'll have to look a bit more into that. Can we look at button, or I can look at it on my computer?
I mean, button's kind of the same thing.
And wait, what did you mean by children? Is social icon actually rendering this props at children somewhere?
No, but it. So if, uh, well, I was saying that if you change it, so instead of the component, you would put the button, right? Or you would just replace the whole thing with a button.
So the way button is working right now is it's actually like you can actually pass it a prop saying what kind of component you want.
Right.
That's optional. Uh, and then I think social icon is doing something really similar.
Right. That's what it is.
Right.
But it's just a different style on it.
Right. Wait. Okay. So let's think about this. So a button is going to be. Hang on. Let me see. Okay. So I'm just thinking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at button social icons and icons.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, there should be this button component or like which is being used internally, right? Uh, which should be able to handle a button and a social icon, which is like the bigger sort of button icon, if that
Right.
makes sense. Um, and then we should have this icon component, which would be like a base icon with social icon and icon should be built on top of, and they should be able to leverage that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of code repetition in three of them.
With that being said, I don't know if we should actually like prioritize that because that's definitely just it's going to be doing the same thing, but it's going to be sort of refactoring a lot of it. Um,
Yeah, right.
so that might be something we want to put on the back burner.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just refactoring the code.
Right. And at this point, like I would prefer us writing more tests to make sure that it does that it's doing, as opposed to like making sure that our code is like super tight.
Right. Yeah, agree.
Okay, cool.
Right. Next thing is floating labels on form input.
So this, I think, is another fun issue that can be worked on. When I first looked at this looked really interesting to me. Um,
It's so I think what it's doing is that floating icon's hidden, and when you start typing, it shows and it has a height, so the thing moves down.
is it really though? I feel like wait, is it
Yeah,
just that? I don't think so.
that's
I thought it was animating it out. Is it not?
not in this one, but like if you look at material design ones, they do animate it out.
Because I remember working with material design and often they change from the placeholder and animate up there, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
there's a React Native material design. Come on. Hmm. Maybe it doesn't have it. It's weird. Thought I seen that. So right here.
Yeah.
This one's actually doing the animation. The other one is hidden, and then once it gets shown, it has a height.
Yeah, the hidden one doesn't sound as interesting.
Yeah, this one definitely does animation. I mean, technically, it's probably hidden too, and then it has a position absolute, and then it's going to this other position.
So here's something that like I haven't been able to like exactly come to a good sort of I don't know opinion on is so components like this, right? Reactive material design text input.
Mm-hmm.
We could literally like use this under whatever we're building and just like add a few props on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would be able to support this on React Native Elements. But on the other hand, I feel like why even do that when you can like just use another library that's literally like doing like the OG repository pretty much.
Right, but then like in this case, all it's doing is just a text input, and it's not been updated since 10 months. So now I don't think it's being maintained that much. So I don't know if like for me personally, I wouldn't want to install 20 different libraries for like 20 different things when I'm using something like Elements to get all my components.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. And if we actually got it into React Native Elements, and if an issue came up, like we would actually help maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, we can even, I mean, this is not getting maintained, so maybe even think about merging it in or something like that. But then the other thing is, this is an Android only thing. This is not
But
really an iOS style.
right, but it runs on iOS though, right?
It
It's
does,
supported
but
for iOS
it's
too,
like when you're building like a specific iOS design,
right?
like what I forgot what's called, a human guide or whatever. It's not based on that. This is based on material design, so it's going to be a little different. So I don't know if we really want to go towards one another. So maybe have an ability to do a floating label, but not clone material design. I don't know.
That's a good point. I feel like a lot of times when I'm designing apps, and I think this might be the case for a lot of like people that are not too like actually not working on an app that's going to be released anytime soon, is like working on just one unified style
Mm-hmm.
usually does the trick.
Right.
Especially something like this where like it sort of it does what you want it to do.
Right. Right.
I don't know if people will be too concerned about, and if they are, they probably wouldn't use it. But for most people, right? I think they'll be
Right.
perfectly okay with using this across iOS and Android.
Yeah, no, so this is just an example, but like what I was trying to get at is we want to be more generic than kind of focus on one way of doing it. So like we don't want to be the next material design library because that already exists. So we want to have components that are more generic to both Android and iOS designs.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can look if we can get this one merged in or created ourselves, stuff like that. It should be fun to work at.
Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna put it put down that we should definitely reach out to the person.
Yeah, I think if the component exists and no one's maintaining it, we should just talk to them if they want to merge it, and because that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
To compatible to React Native Web. So have you used React Native Web?
I have not.
I was trying to see what's going on here, and here and there, basically, I was able to figure out that it's not really, some of the things are not really even related to our repo. It's more of like React Native Web doesn't even support it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is like high on priority.
Yeah.
Because there is a project in React Native Web which uses elements and it works fine. I forgot what it's called, but it's here somewhere. I think it's maybe this one. Yeah, this Rhinos app.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a boilerplate and it uses elements and it looks like it works fine.
Okay.
But like a lot of the warnings there because of compatibility with React Native Web.
Right.
So I feel like this should hold on for now until unless like someone wants to. I guess we should open it up for contributions and not work on it ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah, so let's make it like a help wanted thing.
Cool.
Multiple form inputs. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I actually haven't looked too much into it. I kind of know what he's talking about, but not entirely sure because I haven't dealt with it personally.
So I think I understand what he's trying to get at, and what his point is like when you have like a big form and then you have different form inputs, it would just pretty much pollute all your refs because everything you're pretty much doing by references.
Yeah.
And I was trying to look into different projects that did forms, and one of them which I found interesting was they had a form component where it would kind of like how you have it on web where you have form and then inside the input, but the form component had all the ref, like it had the ref, and then it would have data for all of the inputs. So you could just do this dot form ref dot input one, input two, input three, like that.
Oh, interesting.
So
So
it
the
was
got it. So the
it
form
was
basically renders children, and then it lets it handle it. Or are you actually passing the input as props?
so the way that one did it is it was enclosing all the children, and then it would get all the reference from the children and then put it into the form state and then expose that as a reference.
Right.
It was quite interesting how they did it, and I think that's what we should do is as well as have a form component which is more of a high order to. Did my screen just go away? Hello?
Yep.
It's weird. My screen just went away.
Not coming back on. Wait, try sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes. That's weird.
Do you want to switch to my screen for now?
Yeah, but I don't know if that will
Oh, that's right.
broadcast.
Oh, right.
I think it would, but
Never mind. Okay. Let's see.
oh, now it works.
Cool.
I don't know if that will Oh,
Oh, that's right.
broadcast.
Right.
I think it was.
Never mind. Okay.
So, do you see my screen? Because I don't see it. I don't know exactly.
Oh, that's right. Broadcast. Dude, what's going on? Never mind. Okay.
So, do you see my screen?
No,
I don't see
I
it.
don't. I'm gonna hang up and join the call again. Dude,
Right.
Right, I'm back.
Do you see my screen or no?
Nope.
Hey, we have 2 viewers.
So, did you figure it out or not yet?
No, I'm trying to see if it's happening on YouTube. As soon as I find where the thing is.
Okay, so my screen sharing works pretty well too. So we can do that if needed. Because I'm seeing the YouTube video and I can, as long as you're on that Google Hangout screen.
I think it just kicked me out of Hangouts. Let me rejoin it.
Oh.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, now it works. Now you should be able to see it.
I do.
Okay, perfect. For some reason, it kicked me out. All right, in any case, right, so yeah, that's what the form implementation I saw and which kind of makes sense to me.
Do you remember what repository was?
Not really, but I can find it. I'll send you the link when I find it.
Okay. Yeah. To me, this sounds like another interesting sort of issue to work on, just because the implementation needs a little bit of thought.
Right. Yeah.
And so a couple of things. One is if you can write down on that issue itself, like briefly what you just talked about, the sort of abstraction of what it would look like.
Right.
You have this form input which renders children. That would be a good start. And then second, if you can find that library and maybe link it on that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do that.
That would also be good.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool. So I think there's this, at least in my mind, there's kind of a pattern that's trying to emerge from these issues is maybe personally like issues that I would sort of like to work on, which are one, like challenging, or two, like deal with animations that are interesting to me.
Right.
So maybe we can create this tag. I mean, if you agree as well, something that would like someone that sort of knows what they're doing, but also wants to like work on something interesting. Maybe we can create like an interesting issue challenge. Maybe not exactly name it that, but like along those lines. And then we can categorize another issue as I don't want to remove it from. Okay, maybe we can remove it from our roadmap, but like we should just still keep it on the README. Stuff like React Native Web would be
Right.
one of where we definitely don't plan to work on it anytime soon. What else would be on there?
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think for that we need to have them as open issues, or no one's gonna find them.
True.
So maybe we can discuss about that later.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, the next one is the slider, and
Yeah.
I think you worked on that, so you know more about it.
Yeah, so the thing with this is like this was another one of those interesting issues that I
Mhm.
thought there were, and I worked on it. There's like three really good libraries that I linked on there that do like a really good job of it. Like I think if you can sort of combine all three of them into this one React Native Elements slider that does all three of them, I think that would be like the ideal thing to do because all three of them are pretty good, but they do things that are unique to themselves,
All right.
which I would like to combine into this one generic slider component that can handle anything you throw at it.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
So
what I sorry, let me just real quick finish.
yeah,
Uh,
sure. That's
so, so what I try to do is I sort of implemented like the basic slider component into React Native Elements,
mm-hmm.
uh, and the what's left to do is basically 2 and 3, which is multi slider.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one like snaps into place. So you basically like you can tell it, hey, you want to give me 5 values, and then it snaps from 1 to 2. Um,
Mm-hmm.
both of those implementations are yet to be made on React Native Elements.
Interesting. Yeah, so that would be one of the other issues on the roadmap.
Yep. And I think this is like fairly challenging, and it'll need some time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think you'll probably have to clean up some code and merge things here and there.
Right. And I think one of the things with this is it doesn't make sense to like literally port over functionality because like you're combining like three different libraries, uh,
Right.
and the way they would have been implemented is slightly different. And so you would actually expend more time if you try to combine them than actually build it yourself. Like what I mean by building it yourself is like look at how it's implemented and then like actually implement it from scratch, sort of getting inspiration from that,
Right.
as like literally copying the implementation.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, so that's one's good to actually be on a roadmap.
Yeah.
That notification component was one of these. And this one also I found this library.
Drop down alert. Yeah, I think this is doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, exactly. But I think somebody said, yeah, customization, stuff like that.
Can we go to the library and let's see like an implementation of it, or like how you would use it if it has an example on there? Okay. Oh, okay. So like they have like 5 types of alerts, and you like just have
Right.
to
You
those.
can create custom too.
Wait, you can or you can't create custom?
No, you can.
You can. Okay, there. Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know. I don't see a reason why we would want to re-implement this.
Uh,
What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's there's a way you can see the pulse or something right here. It's fairly active.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fairly active to me. I don't know. We can come back to it later.
Okay.
This one's a parallax one. We already discussed that. The date picker or calendar component. A lot of people are requesting that.
I haven't looked into this, but I would assume that there's actually a pretty good date picker or calendar library for React Native already.
Yeah, I agree too.
I mean, I would just, based off of like the libraries that we've just seen, like there's pretty good implementations of almost everything out there.
Yeah, I agree too. So
I
we
think the
can.
first step would be do
Yeah,
some research.
yeah, I agree. So let's do some research if there's any date picker or calendar library,
Cool.
and if none, or if there is, which is not maintained or stuff like that, we can come back to it, see what we can do with that.
All right, I'll make a note of that.
And finally, the styling, customizing, styling, and theming.
Oh, theming, yeah, this is this is a big one.
Yeah, this would require like pretty much refactoring everything.
So I honestly don't know where I would start with this. Maybe one place is, I know Native Base has theming in their Native Base 2.0
Yeah,
release.
that's what they're. This is what they're using. So basically, you kind of use a little bit like a CSS syntax and then put styles in there. And then you have a style provider which wraps your whole application. And then there's a style name props to everything.
And a style provider, a library itself.
Yeah, so it's this I shoot 'em, shout 'em, however you say it. They have this theme component which kind of does that style provider thing. It has a style provider.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then you can create custom themes as well. So like this object was basically a theme.
Right.
So I
And so you
think,
think, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so I think something similar to this, or even if you want to use the same thing, I don't know if I really want to, because the thing I don't like about this one implementation is like being too specific about like dot syntax. Is like I don't want to be a UI and the dot image and stuff like that, unless I would rather have it more kind of like a CSS way. So if I put in like a style name, like medium wide to 4 different places, it should just apply it to 4 different places, kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. So you think that the native base implementation of themes is based off of this?
It is. This is what it is. I checked their code.
Okay.
So we kind of want to do something similar to it, and I think I kind of know how we would do it. But before we do it, I think we should do some refactoring, which we talked about. Is basically changing the props for all, like instead of using all the props, we put in the props we need and then rest in the spread operator. So that way we don't have to put prop types for it everywhere and we're not missing anything. So I think that refactor should be the next major thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And then we'll work on theming. And then the other thing is like once you have theming, we can actually release different themes and different styles off in a single application. So you can have like different showcase and different styles.
Yeah. In fact, the refactoring that you talked about, I feel like that can be a good first contributors issue.
Yeah.
Like I think we should, like, as we were talking about it, like if there's some refactoring
Mm-hmm.
that we think we need to do before something else can be done, we should just make that as a first contributors issue, because it's not really adding functionality, but it's just sort of enhancing it.
Right, right.
And that should be fairly easy to do for someone looking to just like see what's already implemented and then basically try to improve it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that one is quite easily a first contribute. Like you can do one or two as an example, and then rest could be it's like a first contributor issue. And then the other thing was adding this image component prop wherever there's an image, so you can use a customizable image component.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So basically, like for example, in a card, right? So a card has an image. Where's the card? Right. So card has an image, right? So instead of typing in like an image and require, there should be another prop that says image component, where we can pass in a separate image component. And this will be useful if you're using like a parallax effect image and stuff like that.
Okay. And this would be actually a prop itself, or would that be a child?
I think prop, because that's our mostly our syntax is using props instead of children.
Right.
So I think that would be a good first contributor, because right now it's not going to be doing much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
Wait, so you're saying, sorry, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the image thing. You're saying that we should pass in a prop which actually has an image component?
Right, so let me show you what I mean. Right, so for example, I have the card component, and then I have an image in it, so which is just require something. But like I should be able to use an image component. So instead, I can have an image component, which will just be an image component which has parallax or like local storage.
Right, so you're saying we should do this and it should be able to handle this case as well, right? Not that this should be the only case.
Right, so this would be a case. So like if I use image component, it'll just replace the image
right.
with
Yeah,
this component.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we're doing something really similar with list item, with title and subtitle.
Right, yeah, even for the buttons, we're doing the components.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I think I agree with you. That would be a good first contributors. It might be a bit on, I don't know. Yeah, I think we can do that.
Yeah, because then one application I was working on was we were storing all the images locally, and there is a library which does that, but it has this as an image component and can't really use that right now.
Okay. All right, I'll make a note of that.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was maybe like even though we have the hackathon starter as a application, maybe we could do something like how React Native has. I don't know if you've seen on the docs page their demo application right here. Basically, this has all the components. So like all the components, where I can, if I can go back to it. It doesn't go there. So basically, but what I'm trying to say is they have all the components showcase, and that would be useful for anyone trying to see how they look on the phone or like something like that. And you can even put it on like Exponent so people can just view it on their phone.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, especially the exponent part. if you can have the QR code on our README that says, hey, you know what, if you want to try it, you can use it with Exponent.
Right.
I think that would be amazing.
Because it's pretty much like taking, and I don't think it's a lot of work either, because it's taking part from the hackathon starter and just separating out into different views. So maybe we use like React navigation to do it, have a list view, and then kind of just do that.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing I was thinking along like a while back, along the same lines is if we can have this sort of, so hackathon starter is a demo of React Native elements, right? So it literally
Right.
like is a catalog. I was thinking if we can like build more of a like a starter app, but like not really for the purpose of uh, like doing anything other than displaying React Native elements in the most customized way that you could think of, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like basically pushing the boundaries of React Native elements to show that you could like achieve the most customizable thing using React Native elements.
Right, right. I get that, and I think yeah. So that's just this new application will kind of do is so like if you have an activity indicator, like you will show whatever you can do with it using all the possible props with it.
So that's the catalog, right? Where you would literally like show all the possibilities with it. What I'm
Hmm.
talking about is you would use just one activity indicator, uh,
Hmm.
and like make it highly customized. Uh, Along with like just activity indicator itself is probably not going to do good, right? But then if you have a whole bunch of these customized things that like they just use one component, but then sort of like push the UI boundaries. I don't know if that makes sense.
So like using custom styles, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But
that's
like,
what I was saying. Yeah, yeah.
sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. So I was saying that yeah, kind of something like that. So in like the activity indicator tab, you will have like a simple use case and then like a customized use case of what you can do with it, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It will also be cool to get the AppTI's this demo on the docs.
Mm-hmm.
I
Is it
don't know.
pretty sure is that open source somewhere?
No, it's they charge for it, but it like I don't know if it's free for open source. It doesn't say.
I don't know. Do you know what React Native Express?
No.
And then scroll down. Yeah. So the thing on the right,
Hmm.
just change code on the left. It's basically using. I think I remember Devin. He's the guy that wrote this. He talked about this, and so if you go to the animation section, it's really cool. And he was telling me, or he was like, I heard on the podcast that this is open source, so you can literally like use the render stuff on web, and
So
we could
is,
just like plug this into our website if needed.
so is it using like React Native Web or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can find exactly that library, React Native. Okay, so it's called React Native Web Player. I'm gonna Slack it to you.
Yeah, I saw it.
Did it? Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, we should totally look into doing this because that would be really useful.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, we should add this to our future roadmap.
Cool. I'll make the note of that.
I think one of the other pages we could have on our documentation would be like a showcase. So more of like we can show applications in production using React Native elements, kind of like what Facebook does with their like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know any apps in production, like off the top of your head, that actually use it?
No, and probably have to ask people.
I think Nader sent me a link recently that uh, of a blog post that someone wrote that used it.
Hmm.
So maybe those things are also good to add on there.
Yeah, I mean this will be a good way
Tutorials.
to showcase.
Yeah, and then I was seeing this one other YouTube video, which is basically building the Meetup app. It's like a tutorial video,
Right,
and
right.
he was also using React Native elements on there. So
Yeah, I think I saw that one too.
yeah, stuff like that might definitely be good to have on there.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It might be a good showcase item.
Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think that's all from what I have.
Mm-hmm. Let me look at. So while I was updating the README to have the updated roadmap, there were a bunch of things that I think Nader had on there.
Mhm.
And so I basically moved them to the project section just so I wouldn't lose them. We can go.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
We can like briefly go over that, see what we think about that, if we'd like to work on any of them.
So this was
Yeah. So
add the radio buttons. I think that should be a good addition too.
yeah. Let me tutorials quick search. Do any sort of radio buttons exist in React Native, like natively?
I don't know. Let me see. I don't think so. It's just a view, not even a view. It's a touchable highlight or one of those touchables. I did see one implementation. I was using touchable, one of those. I think highlighter opacity.
Uh-huh.
and then you can just toggle between the group. So I think the way we should do it is we should do it how we do the buttons, is you have a radio item or a radio button, and
Mhm.
then radio button group.
Yep.
It kind of sounds more like a checkbox too to me.
Yeah. I think the easiest way to achieve it, right, is using icons. Like I do this all the time. Like if you use Font Awesome, you can probably find like a circle in a circle O.
I mean, it's if you look at the hackathon starter, it's already there. Where is it? There's no screenshot, but
Maybe I have it running on my.
I mean, I think this checkbox does have a screenshot. So that right here. So like there's kind of like a radio button checkbox. So maybe we need a radio group it only to kind of do that.
Wait, I'm not sure if this. So I'm playing with it on the app itself, and like it's a touchable highlight on the entire row, and it's not toggling anything for now, which I'm sure you can change that. But I don't think it's implemented in such a way that like the icons itself are, like a radio button where you can like click on them like specifically, but it's more of, I'll have to
But
look.
that's what the last pull request on it was, where the icons have a on press event on it.
Right, right.
So if you don't put a title that and it's a circle, like a dot circle icon, then
Mhm.
it's a radio button.
Yeah, I think when he might have put it down, he probably wanted to implement like a native radio, but like actually like build it from scratch as opposed to like using icons. Um, so I don't know about that. That's, I mean, the easiest way. We can look into it, right? Like as you're saying, if the icon already has an on press, you can pretty much just play around with that a little bit,
Right.
see what you can come up with. All right. Let's come back to that.
The next one was searchable drop down. And then swipeable list item.
See, I think this is where the real challenge comes in, is stuff that's not already built for React Native, but it's built for like a different platform. Like porting that over to React Native would really add value to it, right?
Right.
As opposed to something that's already built, but like you're wondering whether, hey, you know what, I want it to be in this library and not that one.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so the second one, swipeable list view. I think I think Wix. Did you see the new library that Wix released?
Wix.
React conference. I think it
Uh,
was.
which one is it?
So I can't find it now. Oh, there we go. I think it was okay. So it's called React Native Interactable,
Oh, it's right there.
and they literally have a really good implementation of the list view, the swipeable list.
Oh yeah, the 60 frames per second one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that, the header stuff and all that,
yeah, it looks really cool.
but it's experimental.
So I don't think we should concern ourselves with the list view, because like the first thing to do would be probably to play around with this to see what they
Right.
have, and then see how it can be implemented in the library. So, but yeah, maybe just I don't know. We don't have an issue for that, but if we did, then maybe adding this to that issue would be a good idea. But I think we're good for now.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
And yeah, that's all.
I
That's
think
all it is.
there's three more up above that.
Oh yeah, icons to text inputs. That should be also easy to do because you just do a position absolute.
What does that even mean, though?
So
And basically, like add an icon on the left or right or something.
yeah, so like I don't know if there's an example I can show you, but basically the input would have like if it's a phone number, it'll have an icon for a phone, stuff like that.
Ah, right. Okay. Um. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so I'm looking at form input. Um, yeah, I agree with you. I think it should be fairly straightforward, because right now it's rendering a text input within a view, and that's all it's doing. So we should be able to allow it to handle any sort of input, any sort of icon, um, if the prop is provided.
Hmm. So we need to do. So you do you want to add that to the roadmap?
That wouldn't be a bad idea, just because it's so easy to do. But on the other hand, I'm not sure how useful it would be.
I've seen some applications use it. I
Yeah.
think Instagram uses it, if I'm not wrong.
If you can send me a screenshot of that, then it would make my job really easy, because I'd know exactly uh, like one specific implementation of it, or like how it looks, and I wouldn't mind working on it.
Yeah, I'll find it. I've seen some
Okay.
applications
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah. No rush, but if you do come across one, just send it my way.
This became more of an office hours instead of a hackathon.
I think the fun will start after. we're done with all of this.
Yeah, because now first we need to figure out what to work on
Right.
before.
And I think before we even start working on it, since we've already sort of been talking about all of this, it might be a good follow up to sort of figure out what we talked about and like organize the roadmap itself,
Mhm.
uh, just to make it more clear. And as we sort of work on it, would be easier to sort of figure out how far we've come.
I think. Do you want to set up? So how do you want to do this? Do you want to create issues and then make it up for grabs kind of thing, and then create milestones,
I actually
or
don't mind that. Or go ahead.
just create like a new project here and then do stuff here? But the only concern I have with this approach is it's really disconnected with everything. So if someone new is trying to see what they can contribute to, they're not going to find it
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think anyone uses projects, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think let's open up the issues and I think label it correctly. So like help wanted won't be. Let's look at the labels, see if we have the right labels. Like I don't know, like I feel like help wanted is not really a right label because like I've seen some projects use help wanted as like they want the helps for someone to do it, and the way we're using is like someone wants help.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I can see how that could be confusing. We should refactor.
So I added this new label for awaiting reply. Basically, if we're waiting for someone to reply,
Mm-hmm.
and so help wanted. I think let's keep help wanted as like we need help, or rename help wanted to be more like up for grabs,
Yeah,
and then create a new label for. I guess question is a good label, right?
yeah,
And which reminds me, we need to talk about this commit for minification.
yeah. I saw that, and I don't know if her reply is puts us in a concrete direction. Uh,
I mean, I think this will work,
yeah,
like, because this is basically the whole library minified and concatenated.
yeah.
So what basically it's doing is using, or if you're familiar with Webpack, it's just using that and
Mm-hmm.
then mocking everything that's not part of our project, and then just minifying it here. So it's really simple.
Yeah. What was her
And
reply again? If you can look at that,
what was that?
her reply.
It's more of like they host the files for .js, and
If it would be great. I think maybe you should respond with saying, "Hey, you know what? This is already minified." Because I'm not sure if she knows about that or not. Because her last sentence on there says should provide a minified file. But
yeah, but we haven't published it, so I guess that's what she was referring to.
okay, do you want to take the lead on this one? Follow up on it.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll, because the thing is, this is gonna have conflicts with the testing branch because they kind of change some similar things and install similar things.
Uh-huh.
So either way, maybe we finish the test first, which I think the least we could do is just have a snapshot testing for everything and then at least just push that to master.
Yep.
And then we can write more tests later. So I can actually probably get all the snapshot tests done tonight.
Okay.
Because when you do a snapshot, that does prop validation, which is great. And when if someone tries to change the UI, we'll know.
Right. Yeah, I actually agree with that. Let's get those tests in first because this is not high priority.
Right.
So let's get those going, and then we can sort of deal with the conflicts as they come up later on when we do the minification stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty much done.
Yeah.
But I really can't test it because I don't know how to really test this.
Mm-hmm.
Because in React Native, you can't really just put this bundle anywhere.
Okay, so going back to those labels on issues, um, we can. I think we should open up like two kinds of issues. Right? The first one is just to make sure that it's not too cluttered.
Mm-hmm.
One of them would be the help wanted, which would actually mean, hey, you know what, we're not trying to work on this, but if you're interested, feel free to pick it up and help us out. And I think there's a couple or three of the issues that we talked about earlier. Um, one of them being React Native Web. The other kind of issue we should open up is first contributors.
Mm-hmm.
For someone that actually like, hey, you know what, this is not working, but if they get it working, they see the tag and they're like, all right, I can maybe pitch in on this. This sounds interesting. Uh, and we have a few of those too uh, that are interesting. So we should open those up.
All right.
And there's this other kind, which is sort of like not exactly first contributors, but then something that's on our roadmap.
All right.
Which I think we should just not open up as issues because we should probably work on them.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that sound good?
It does, but then, do you want to use the milestones or no?
I mean, we still have to create issues, right, so that people are aware of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, what I'm saying is, so let's say we're working on the featured title props, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like either you or me working on it. So would you open that up as an issue or no?
I wouldn't.
Okay. Because I was saying, because if you're using this milestones feature, then
Yeah,
that's not going to work because everything is closed. So it's already.
I see. Are you? Would you prefer to use the milestones?
Uh, I don't really have a preference. I'm okay with either or.
Okay. Uh, I think when it comes to stuff that we're working on, since we're sort of like following up on stuff and like keeping each other on track, I don't think like having a milestone necessarily is needed. Um, so I would be okay with like stuff that we're working on to not have milestones and just like work on it and just submit PRs. If you're okay with doing that.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's do that, and then the stuff that we open up as issues. Let's try to spread it out such that it's sort of like doable in case anyone wants to do it. But if not, should be easy enough such that we might find bandwidth for it before the milestone comes around for release.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I think we're sort of we talked about almost or most of the things that we could think of. You want to sort of I'm actually like free right now, so I'm probably going to be working on this. So if you want to like continue working, like actually like maybe write some code or organize stuff, whatever we talked about, we can like keep this going.
I have to go somewhere, but I'll be back, and then I can write some code there.
Okay,
But I'll be on Slack.
sounds good. So so ping me on Slack when you get back online. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna work on whatever we talked about.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
make it such that it sort of reflects, and I'll see how far I can get with it. And then, yeah, I think this is pretty good. We sort of have a clearer idea of, or at least we're on the same page, right, with most of the stuff that is on our roadmap.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you can think of before we hang up?
Not really. Uh, No, nothing on my side.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for live streaming this. I don't know how many people are watching it, but
It's only you.
um, cool. Awesome. All right.
All right.
Yeah, good catching up, and then
Yeah.
we can follow up on Slack.
Yeah. All right. See you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.